Hi, I'm Steph Shinabery, and I went from burned out nurse anesthesiologist to soul fired founder and CEO of the Genius Code Academy. I help entrepreneurs around the world, and I am one of the passionate few. I've done several podcasts, and this is literally probably one of my favorite podcast interviews that I've ever done, Omar. I really connected with you, and I felt like you pulled all the right answers out of me to help people to follow their heart, really live a life that's fulfilled based on your passion, your purpose, and how you're going to bring that into the world.
Hey guys, welcome to this special episode of the Passionate Few podcast today. It's your host, Omar, and today we have an awesome guest named Steph Shinabery, and she's going to talk to us all about how to start a passion-driven business and how people can really unlock the code of entrepreneurship that's been stored inside of them to really unleash it to the world by sharing her genius code. So thanks so much for being on the show today, Steph.
Thanks so much for having me, Omar. I'm happy to be here with you.
Now, before we get started, I just want to give a quick and huge shout out to our sponsor, Mindcore Technologies. You see, the truth is, if you're a business owner going into 2023 and you're concerned with either having a cybersecurity breach, the frustration with finding IT solutions to your challenges, or you're just spending too much money on it, well, you're in luck because Mindcore Technologies can help you with exactly that. Want to find out more? Simply book a call in the description down below for your free cybersecurity assessment and IT audit.
Awesome. So before we kind of get into a little bit about your story and the advice you have for entrepreneurs around the world, can you give the audience a little bit of context about what you do and what you're all about?
Yeah. And just so you're breaking, or one of us, I think it's me actually, is a little bit unstable here on the internet right now. But so, yeah. So just quickly, I'm a nurse anesthesiologist, and it's a great job. I make great money, but it wasn't like the thing that filled my heart. So when I started a business and started like marketing, I started helping people get clients, and it still wasn't the thing. So I really just stepped back and said, what is it that I really want to do? And I really believe everybody has a gift or a genius inside them. And then people that have that entrepreneurial spirit to really kind of lock on to that, X factor or genius, and develop that into a purpose-driven business. And so that's what I help people do. And I absolutely love it. And I feel like if we're not doing the thing that sets our soul on fire, then we're not doing our true north.
Absolutely. And I love that you say true north, because I think so many people get caught in the trap. Tony Robbins and others talk about this, where they're stuck somewhere between not totally unhappy, but not unhappy enough to do something about it. Right. Like, so they're not happy, but they're not unhappy to do something about it. So they're kind of in no man's land in the middle. There's no urgent reason to make a shift, but inside of them, they're pulsing because they know they're meant for more. There's something deeper, and they just need help to let it out. So I love that. I wanted to ask you, when you got into anesthesiology, was that a plan that you set up for a while, or was that something that kind of evolved later? How long were you doing it before you realized I want something else? Give the audience a little bit of context.
Great question. So I actually I wanted to be an artist. I am an artist, but that's what I wanted to pursue. And I had listened to all the shoulds. You should do this and you should do that. And I went into nursing and literally hated it. I mean, I was miserable. And I kept going down that road. I didn't really know how to get out of that. I didn't know how to make money at art. And then I had a family, and then I got the golden handcuffs, and then I got really locked into it. I actually just kind of like started drinking, and I had always drank a little bit, but it became like this nightly thing of just like numbing out, and it became a huge problem. And to the point where eventually I needed to get some help with it. And when I kind of like got sober and kind of like woke up a little bit, I went back to art school. And I mean, Omar, it was like, oh my God, it was like the best time of my life. It was me. I was like, I like jumped out of bed in the morning. And once you have that feeling of getting pulled out of bed, you can't really go back to ever unknowing that, right? It's like your mind expands to like, that's possible. And so I couldn't figure out how to make the jump from nursing though to art financially. And so I went to anesthesia school, and like double, tripled my salary. And I like it. It's like what you said. It's because I'm a science nerd too. But it's that it's good, but it's not good enough. And I know I was meant for more. And so that's kind of like, I still though had that feeling of like the alarm clock goes off and I'm like, oh, I got to go to work. And then one day I'll get to make art, right? One day when I'm retired, I'll get to make art. And so that went on for years and years. And I kind of accidentally fell into the online world several years ago and started marketing. And I'm like, this is pretty fun. I get to use my creativity. I get to help people. I've always coached and teached and poured into people my whole life. And so that part came naturally. And so anyway, like I said, it's like in January, I was just burnt out. I was still working, as a nurse anesthesiologist and doing the business on the side, getting clients that were getting results. I was doing all the things, but I'm like, yeah, this isn't quite it. There's more, and that's when I just stepped back and went into this whole process of like the first question I asked myself was like, okay, I've been doing this thing that isn't the thing my whole life. So what is it that I truly desire? What do I really want to do with my life? And how can I use my creativity and, to help people? And that's what came out of this. And it's really fun. And the cool thing is when I take people through this, and I've taken beginners through it, and I've taken multiple 7-figure people through it, and they've all gotten something. They've all had these aha moments of like, they remember who they are. It's like an uncovering of like remembering who you are and getting to that, like, what is it that you're like, our soul or our heart or whatever you want to call the universe is always trying to guide us back to the North Star, to getting aligned. That. I really believe that we're all here. We always hear those voices. Most of the time we shut them up or numb them out because we're on this one path. We got to keep going toward the goal there. And we just shut them out, but it's like, oh my gosh, I'm remembering so many things about what I love to do. And also like they know they kind of had a purpose, but now going back through their story, they understand why they have this passion, why they have this purpose, why they're driven. It gives it more meaning, and they're able to literally put a name to their gift. Eve Ensler, I think she was like the vagina monologues lady. Yeah, and one of the things she said was, I believe that naming things, like freedom begins with naming things. And I really believe that when you name your gift and your purpose, you give it power, you focus on it, you honor it, you hone it, you laser in, and it like shortens the curve to getting there.
I love that. When you say name it, can you zoom in high level, kind of what you mean by that? Because I know there's men and women around the world listening that are like, whoa, that's brilliant. But
absolutely. So I call myself a creating possibility artist. So like literally pulling things out that people think, well, I wonder if that's possible for me. And I have that's one of the names of one of my gifts is I'm a creating possibility artist. There's another like client of mine that's her purpose, like, I really just want to bring more light into the world. I want to, help people, empower people. And she came up with, I'm a feel-good catalyst. So giving like an adjective or an adjective and a verb, I guess, to what it is that your gift is, that you're like, that's part of your genius. And the genius code is literally like 3 parts. So it's the kind of the high level view of it is like, number 1 is your superpower. Number 2 is your purpose. So how you're going to use your superpower for the good of humanity. And number 3 is your path. And it's like how how you best fitting like, your values and your personality and how you'll best put that into, bring that into the world.
That's beautiful. Now, why do you think most people struggle with purpose and passion? Because this is an area, obviously the show's called The Passionate Few. It's an area that I went through something very similar with you where, I was working for Tesla, I was making money. Everybody else thought I was successful, but I was unfulfilled inside. And no one around me at Tesla could relate. And I'm sure you can relate too. I consider myself an artist, so I love that you say that. But I found myself feeling like, man, like, I know this is not it. And it's this inner wrestle of, well, what is it? And even if I did know, when is the right time to take action? So I think there's a lot of men and women around the world who are in that position. So my question to you is, what is it that you think really causes people to get stuck and lose their sense of passion and purpose, and how can they rediscover it? Because, and here's the caveat, because I find it so interesting that most people when they're younger, growing up, they go out and try things to find their passion or their purpose, right? What 9 or 10 or 11-year-old goes, hey mom, or hey dad, what's my purpose or what's my passion, right? We don't do that. We don't go extrinsic. We go internal and we try things. We try gummy bears. We try talking to Tom, to Stephanie, to Amanda, to Billy. We eat this, we eat that, we watch this. And so by process of elimination, we go try things, and then we discover our gifts, we discover our passions. But as we get older, we kind of get a little stiff. We try less things. We rely on what other people told us, and we forget that there's this element of discovery. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on how people?
Yeah, and I think there's so much there that I want to dive into. So one of the things is, you said go internally, and like literally, we have all the answers. We are the only ones that can know what our soul wants, but we listen to, everybody's familiar with the data of your subconscious mind is like, it gets formed, all your beliefs pretty much get formed between 0 and 8. And so we're hearing all these things of what we can and can't do. I think we all come into this world like bold and fierce and ready to conquer. We know what we want. We tell the world what we want. And then people start saying, no, you can't have that. No, you can't do that. And so we start listening to these external things. But one of the things that you said is, we try things because we're curious about them. So I am like, one of the things that I've really explored in all this, and one of the things that kind of like gets me in trouble as far as like focus, is I'm so freaking curious about so many things. It's just, I'm wired that way. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Let me go check that out. And I go down this rabbit hole, and then I go down this rabbit hole. And the thing about it is it can be a problem. However, all of those things that I've studied and learned, and all those things have come together to help me form the Genius Identity Code. It's like all of those things have meaning, and they're stored in there somewhere, and you discard the things that you don't really want to keep following, and you can use. So are you familiar with Stephen Kotler? He's really into high performance. He has a book called The Art of Impossible. Ooh. And I think you might enjoy it. But one of the things that he talks about is like genius lies, or these innovative solutions that a lot of companies come up with.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Listen, we'll get right back to the video in a sec, but I just want to let you know that if you're watching this video and you're enjoying it, good, because that's exactly why we make these videos. And also, if you're a 7 to 8 figure entrepreneur and you're looking to grow your business with videos just like this, but maybe don't know how, or you've tried stuff and you're stuck, but you don't want to leave money on the table, and you want content to be a part of your strategy, you just don't know how to grow that brand, grow your revenue, create videos, and scale your revenue with it, well, you're in luck, because we actually specialize in helping 7, 8, and 9 figure entrepreneurs do exactly that. So if you'd like to learn from those strategies and get a free personalized one-on-one session 100% free, you can simply book a call at the link in the description down below to learn more, and hop on a call with our team to see how we might be able to help you. So anyways, just want to hop on here, let you guys know that, and thank you guys. But with no further ado, let's get right back to the show. Enjoy.
That are people that are really like thinking outside of the box. There are people that were super curious about problems and solutions or whatever. And it becomes a cross section of like, I think one of the examples he gave was something like this guy that's super interested in sports and football and nutrition, but it's also interested in like solving world hunger or whatever. Yeah. And it comes together this thing of like, crickets or some kind of, protein for athletes or something like that. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, but it's basically when you start, latticing your curiosities, then new solutions come up, new solutions, come together, because really, problems are, problem solving is just taking, this solution or this solution that's already been done over here a lot of times and mashing it with like another solution to come up with like a new compound. It's kind of like building molecules. So I think I might've got a little off track there, but I think that the point is following your curiosities, following your passions. Rumi said, let yourself be silently drawn by the strange things that you really love. They will not lead you astray. Wow. And I really believe that if we follow our heart, if we follow our passion, that's going to take us to where we need to go. I mean, like you can tell I'm excited about what I do and what I talk about. And I
Oh
know
yeah, I
you
love
are
your energy.
too. So it's like I'm doing the thing that lights my heart up. When we do that, we attract the right people to us as well.
I think that's so brilliantly put. Now, why do you think most people kind of numb that? Is it because, like, I, for example, know a lot of people who know their passions and purpose, but they go, yeah, but I need a career. I need a stable income. How am I just going to go paint, or how am I going to go sing, or how am I going to, right? Whatever it is. Maybe some people's passion is more in the business, some is in the arts, right? And people are in the hybrids, right? It's all over. But I'm curious, did you ever go through that? And what is your advice to people who are trapped, feeling like they want to do more of their gifts, but the pressure of finances, or will I make money, or will I leave my job? Maybe share a little bit about how long you've been in anesthesiology, what the journey was like for you, and any insight for people who might be in that position.
Yeah, this is a great question, and there's like, I don't think there's one answer. Right. But I know that feeling of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm stuck doing this. I have like bills and overhead. How can I ever go do the thing that I want to do? So the way I started it was I just started doing it. So I think you can't maybe go like literally, I would have liked to have totally shut the door on one before I started the other one, because you have like more space and more creativity. But also with that would have came a lot of like financial pressure of not being able to probably perform. Right. So like, you can start just devoting. And I used to be an all or none person. Like I literally went through this period of time that I was so angry that I couldn't do art all the time, that I just, because, medical field really drains you. It can be exhausting, especially like what's going on right now in the world. And so you get home and you're exhausted, and then you go, I just can't do anything. I'm just going to watch Netflix. And so it's a lot of it is just mindset of changing. Like, okay, if it's something that you really want to do, that you really must do, that your heart says that you must do, then you must find a way to do it. If it's getting up an hour earlier. And so the problem then goes into, well, it's like our habits, and it's our limiting beliefs, and it's all of those things that come into play as well, right? Mm-hmm. So I really feel like it's just, start small and say, you know what, I'm just gonna, instead of turning on Netflix or whatever it is that you do, for a while I had to like cut back on my bike riding, so whatever it is that you do, it's like getting up an hour earlier, or an hour, 2 hours earlier. Then it's doing that. I've heard of a lot of people that write that will get up 2 hours or 3 hours earlier, and they'll have all their pages written before they go to work. And in a year, they have a book. And so it's like, and once you start doing it, like for me right now, it's, like getting into my art studio, is instead of saying, I'm just not going to do it at all because I can't do it as much as I want to. Well, I'll just get in there when I can, because what it does is like, it fills me up, with so much, like, it's kind of like my Zen meditation, right? So I get in there for an hour or two, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't I do this every day? So the more you do it and you love it, the more you're going to want to do it. But it's just retraining. But it's kind of like setting priorities of like, I just want to do this. And I would encourage people to, this could be a whole other conversation, but to not just jump out of, unless you have a way to like support yourself, to not just jump out of it without, at least trying it and making sure that it's going to work for you before you just, take on like, oh my gosh, now I can't pay my mortgage and can't feed my family and that kind of stuff. But it's,
Three powerful kind of takeaway lessons from that kind of ring a bell for audience listening. As a takeaway, number one, like feel the fear and do it anyways, right? Because I'm sure, like you just said something brilliant. And how long, if you don't mind me asking, how long were you in anesthesiology? How long have you been?
Years, about almost 20 years. Yeah.
Wow. So, but I'm sure in that process of 20 years, many times it bubbled up and you didn't take action for XYZ reason, right? But right. The same premonition was inside of you. So that's number one. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Number two, start with what you know and let it grow. Like if you're like, you say you're stuck in a profession, or maybe in a business or a career or situation, whatever it is, but you've got these curiosities outside of it. Don't think you got to drop everything and jump into the pool of curiosity. Go dip your toe in it, right? Just like if you saw a pool, or when you're a kid, you eat one gummy bear, you don't just dump the whole bag of gummy bears, right? So I love that. Start with what you know and let it grow. And the last thing, number three, and you said it so brilliantly, is to live by priority, right? To prioritize those things, because in the great words of Dr. John DeMartini, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, he's a values guy, right?
Yes,
Values Factor. Yeah, I've read the book.
I love Dr. DeMartini.
Yeah.
He's actually a personal coach of mine.
Oh, wow.
In
That's
our
cool.
business. Yeah, he's very expensive, but he's worth
I've
it.
heard that. Actually, I think I heard a guy said that I just got back from an hour with, and he told me what it was, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, it was quite pricey, but honestly, Dr. DeMartini is amazing. And the third concept comes from him. And that is, if you don't fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, then by default, your day will fill up with low priority distractions that don't.
That's
and
right.
Sometimes those low priority distractions could be things that make you money, could be things that everybody else think is awesome. But if it doesn't light your soul on fire, like you said, you're not going in the direction of your true north. So again, that point is, if you don't fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, then by default, your day will fill up with low priority distractions that don't. Kind of rings true to the same thing of where seeds don't grow, weeds do. So one of them is going to happen, and any area you don't empower, you will be overpowered by distractions and other people's agenda. So brilliantly put, Steph. And the next question I have for you is, when it comes to anesthesiology, are there things that you found that you kind of psychologically allowed yourself to create passion in the profession? Because, and the reason I ask is because I think a lot of times there's people who say, well, I'm not passionate about what I do, not realizing that, you know, you can change the way you look at what you're doing and how it relates to the bigger play. So can you give some insight for people who may be in a position where maybe they're not fulfilled, but how to give more juice to
absolutely
what they are doing?
I love this question. First of all, I don't hate what I do. Like as a nurse, like as a bedside nurse in ICU, whatever, I like literally dreaded going to work. And like I slept till the last minute, I hit the snooze button. I don't feel that way in my job. I actually have like probably the best job even that I have ever had in anesthesia. Right now I work for the VA, and you know, so it's like there's so many things. First of all, I love people, and you know, and I get to interview these people, and one of the coolest things I feel like is like going into their history and their story to look for like any problems that might come up before we put people to sleep is like being a detective. And it's like sometimes we catch things, because if we're going to put you to sleep, that's serious stuff. Like literally we have one of the most like it's usually listed between the top 5 and the top 10 most stressful jobs out of like firefighters, people that
air traffic controllers, and
all of that. We come in there because when you're pushing a drug that literally is going to take away somebody's ability to breathe, and now you only have seconds to get a breathing tube in, that's stressful. And then if something doesn't go wrong, you have to go to plan B and C. It just gets more stressful as time goes on. And
what does an anesthesiologist do, just for people who may not know or have context, if you can just kind of
So first I just want to make sure I'm a nurse anesthesiologist, but we pretty much do the same thing. We just go different routes than a physician anesthesiologist. But basically we talk to the patient, you know, before they go into surgery to find out like if there could be any problems that might come up during the surgery for anesthesia. And then there's different kinds, but just say it's a big surgery, we're going to put you all the way off to sleep. Okay. And so you're going to go under with some drugs, and then you're going to stay under with some anesthesia gases. And then the surgeon's going to do his stuff. And then we bring you back up. And so we're managing anything like that could go wrong, like bleeding or blood pressure or, you know, reactions to medications or anything. It's our responsibility to get you through anesthesia safely, alive and in that recovery room.
Whoa,
where you're going to go home and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's what I do. Now, sometimes it's putting a needle in somebody's back if they're going to get a baby, you know, deliver a baby, or, you know, doing a regional block for shoulder surgery, or there's all kinds of stuff, but that's really what most people think of. It's like going off to sleep. So that's what I do. But so I love working with people, and I have used this history taking in my business. That came with me. Wow. The other really cool thing that I do is I love to help people create their signature system and their offer. And so my combination of being an artist that wants to be original, create original things in the world that are fired through me, through the universe, is I want people to do that with their business. But also I can help conceptualize when my client comes to me and say, well, here's what I like, here's where my ideal clients are. And like, here's where they want to go over here. I know this, but and I know how to get them there, but I don't know all the steps. And so I can help them like visualize that and create a unique pathway. And that also comes from putting someone to sleep. So, I have to think about when I put someone to sleep, these are the steps that we take. But if this doesn't work, what are the other steps? Because everybody's different, right? So and also just how to make processes better. Like you do a process and you're like, well, that works pretty well, but this would be better and this would be safer and this would be quicker and this would save the person money. And so like all of these different things is so like process evaluation. So all of that is like perfect for setting up like how to do frameworks and signature systems and all that. So I geek out on all that stuff because it uses stuff that I've been doing, So that's the other thing. If you're in a job that you don't love, start looking for the things like Omar asked of like, what is it in your job that you're good at and then you love, and you can take those skills and marry it with your other passions in your business.
I love that, because the label you put on the experience becomes the experience at that level. Yeah. That your mind can kind of fuse what you're doing with what your next thing is, or what your passion is, or what your purpose is. Right. Now, stepping into the business sense, you help a lot of entrepreneurs from all over, from various industries, kind of help grow their business and really help them come from a heart-centered place. I'm curious, what have you found to be the common denominator among the most successful entrepreneurs who do have heart-centered businesses, or some of the ones that I'm sure you've seen, they kind of start, stop, and kind of get flustered in their business? What are some common denominators that you've seen among the most successful at what they do from clients you've helped or worked with?
Yeah, I think you said it. I think it's working from the heart-centered place, because I think if we start, there's so much advertising out there. Like, I'll help you get to 6 figures, which is great. Like, right. We all want to get to 6 and 7 and 8 figures. And I'm all about that too. Right. But if that's the place that you're trying to create from, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be hard to stay with it, because money, like, you worked for Tesla. I bet you made a really good salary. Right. I make a really good salary, in anesthesia, but that is not the thing that's going to light you up. So, money brings you freedom and it brings you things, and those things are important. And wealth is one of my values, but that can't be the thing that lights you up. So I feel like it's going back to this thing of like, this is literally the foundation for any business. And I call it the genius identity code. It is really getting clear on what it is that your gifts and what you're passionate about and what your purpose is, and then how you best create that. And everybody's like, people could have similar gifts and do things totally different, but you got to do it the way that fits you. That's why like cookie cutter programs don't necessarily work for everyone, because everybody does things different. Like, when people start telling you have to do social media this way, then question that, because, there really aren't a lot of have tos. I mean, there are definitely principles that should be followed, but there's going to be a way that fits you best. And, I like for people to take like the Enneagram and like, that the wealth dynamics that Roger, I never remember the guy's name, but there's a great personality test for entrepreneurs, and it's called Wealth Dynamics. And it's really kind of like about how you operate best. And so that's really those things of finding like, how you operate best, and the thing that's going to drive you. If you can be excited to get out of bed every day, even when you're hitting obstacles, because you know that you're doing the thing that lights you up, you're going to be tenacious. You're not going to give up, and you're going to succeed. It may not be in a day, it may not be in a week, it may not be in a year, but if you can find that thing that's going to keep pulling you forward, that's never going to be like, this is just too hard to get to 6 figures. This is like a job, then that's when you're going to be starting and stopping and looking for something else. I'm looking at this way to make money. I'm looking at that way to make money. I mean, you might as well go get a job.
Yeah, that's true. And now when it comes to the 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure marketing thing, and I love that you brought that up, a lot of us see in the online marketing space, the ClickFunnels world, all that, that there's a lot of that language, right? And people feel worried that their competitors are selling that. So how am I going to sell a heart-centered offer around passion and fulfillment or whatever it is, when, you know, this guy or this gal or this person has a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure with testimonies of, you know, 19-year-olds making 300 grand a month, right? There's a lot of overwhelm in that sort of world. And a lot of, I see it too. I mean, as creator of Passionate Few, right? A lot of people get plagued by these sorts of things. But what's so fascinating, and I love that you say, is, you know, when you look at really the leaders in the space, take, for example, a Tony Robbins. I'm sure you're familiar with his work. Tony is arguably the biggest business in the, you know, consulting coaching space. And he never, on none of his literature, I've had the privilege of meeting him and talking to him, you'll never see 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, any of that. Right. It's all about passion, fulfillment, purpose. And yet, you know, nobody's using that languaging, or very few, the passionate few, if you will, are actually using, you know, sort of heart-centered languaging in their marketing because of the fear of the 6, 7, 8-figure thing. So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are maybe in a coaching consulting space, maybe want to help empower their clients, but are wrestling with that conundrum of, man, do I, you know, do I sell my soul by leading with that kind of marketing, or do I lead with the marketing of, you know, what it is that I love? And, you know, should I marry the two? You know, what are your thoughts on people who are confused as to, you know, navigate that world?
This is a great question. It's one that I've definitely wrestled with, because I'm all about, like, really what I want to do is always lead with the passion and heart. But, you know, money offers sell, because even though you've got that, you know, success of 6 or 7 figures is what so many people are after.
Right.
It's kind of like a little bit of like, give them what they, you know, give them what they're asking. You know what I'm trying to say? Give them what they're asking for, but
give them what they want and sell them what
they're asking for. Give them what they need. Yeah, I knew it would come out eventually. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer. I think you've just got to, like, you know, I've heard so many people that are like top-notch marketers, like marketing geniuses, that say, you know, you've just got to always be working on your message. You can't just like do a message and it's going to work. So you're really just going to have to play with it to the audience that you're talking to. But I firmly believe that if you know that you have an audience that needs what you have, that you have to talk about it. Like you have to, like, you know, like I know I have to talk about this because I know people need it. And it's like, you know, talking about it from that passionate place, people are going to feel that. And that's also, you can also talk about, that's how, when you're talking about that, that's how you can, you know, increase your value. That's how that you are going to make more money, because really you're going to be capped. I'm working with a few people right now that are just right at that, like, you know, like 6-figure mark. And they're like, oh my God, this is not the business that I wanted to create. And you can see they're not wanting to show up and do their marketing. They're not wanting to sign more clients. They're totally pivoting, or whatever you want to call it, because they didn't get this foundational piece of like alignment or passion or purpose lined out first. So when you get that lined out and you can start thinking, how can I use this to help people? Then you're going to be creating something original, that you're not going to be competing with everyone else. You're going to be doing something that's that's original. I talk about, you're going to be creating your own lane, or standing in your own lane once you do this.
That's beautiful. Now, also, I wanted to ask you, you know, when it comes to what you do with entrepreneurs, and if people want to find out more about how to work with you, I know you have a new program that's coming out very soon. At the time of this should be out. We'll put a link in the description below. Can you talk a little bit about the program and why you're so excited to really help entrepreneurs get to the next level with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things. First of all, I have like I'm launching, it should be like in the next month or so, and it's just going to be a revolving thing. It's going to be kind of like an introduction, so that you could do this for a really low barrier of entry and see if it was something for you, and literally get real close to finding your own genius code. And so it is called, well, for lack of a better word right now, it's called Wake Up Your Genius Machine. And so that's just like a workshop. And it's just going to be a revolving thing. So you could do that. And then if you wanted to do, I do like VIP where we just do a deep immersion session. Mm-hmm. And if you just want to work on like you're getting your, this foundational piece of like, let's figure out what it is that you're passionate about. Let's like name your gifts and let's figure out your purpose and create, your signature system. Different people are going to need different things depending on like what level they're at. And then I do the whole thing of like people that are like, hey, let's just figure this whole thing out and get your marketing out. So depending on the length of time that you really need, we set that up like 90 days, 6 months, that kind of thing.
Beautiful. And then the last question I have for you before we play a little game here at the end.
Okay.
Is a quick question. And that is for entrepreneurs, men and women around the world who really want to get to the next level and feel stuck, maybe to the Steph a couple years prior who was maybe struggling right in a parallel world. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs out there who have a gift inside of them that just want to unleash it and feel, whether it's burdened by the pressures of life or finances or whatever it is? What advice do you have to kind of help unlock and kind of pop open the lid of their ability?
So there's a great, first of all, don't ignore that voice because that voice is never going to go away. It's there for a reason. I really believe that whatever you believe in, higher power wise, God, the universe, creative spirit, divine mind, whatever has given you that impulse because you are meant to go help the world do it. Like if we all used our gifts, just imagine like what a better place this world would be, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's the first thing is like start tuning in to those whispers and not ignoring them. And then, when we ask our brain a question, it looks for the answer. If we tell ourselves we can't do it, well, we're right, we can't. But if we ask our brain a question like, how could I do this? Or what is it that I really want to do? Or, and take out, I'm into meditation and journaling or sitting and getting quiet and journaling and asking lots of questions. Like literally, this is how this whole Genius Code Academy was totally by accident. It was because I needed help getting aligned. I needed help figuring out what I wanted to do with my life in my midlife. So I sat down and started asking questions. You start asking questions, your brain is going to find the answers. And like I said at the beginning, you already have all the answers. So you have the answers. You just have to ask the right questions and you have to believe that you have the power. I'm telling you that you have the power to do whatever it is you want to do. 100% is possible for you. And so just asking those questions and just going back through the things that we've talked about is just starting, one step at a time, focusing on one thing at a time that you're curious about or that you're passionate about. And the other thing that I will share is that one of the things, and I learned this from another, I've heard it in a few programs, so I didn't come up with this, but it's called the gifts email. And this is one of the things that I have my clients do. And it's the coolest thing because what happens is they get these warm fuzzies when they get these emails back. And they also see this stuff that they didn't see about themselves. So you can call it a lifeline or whatever when you're trying to figure out your gift is pick 5 people that you know. It could be, friends or family or colleagues, but people that know you well and that you've been in your life for a while, right? And that you've had real interactions with, and ask them to share at least 5 things with you that they see as either your gifts, talents, or something that you've helped them with or overcome. And that also that, or that's something that they really find fascinating about you. And it's best to do it in email because email, it makes them sit down, type it out, think about it, instead of just like, how we do with text, we just fire stuff back and forth, but to literally sit down and compose something. When you get that back, you're going to have at least 25 things and you're going to see these things that overlap. And you're like, oh my gosh, people see me this way. I've helped people with this. A lot of times our gift is something we do so naturally that we don't, it comes so easy to us. We don't consider it a gift. We don't consider it that something, that other people can't do because it's just second nature to us.
I love that. Can you say that again?
Yep.
I love that so much.
The gifts email?
Yeah, that last part that you just said. I love that.
Oh yeah. So we get these things written back to us and we read them. And like a lot of times there's like patterns or overlaps and we don't see these things for ourselves. And so many times our gift is so natural. It comes so second nature to us that we don't even realize it's a gift, because it's like, it's on automatic. It's just part of who we are. We do it without effort. And other people see that as like brilliance. They're like, oh my gosh, this is such a natural thing for you. You've helped me with this, and you don't even see it. You don't honor it as a gift because it's so easy for you.
Yeah, I love that. That was so well put. Now, Steph, before we wrap up, and thank you for that answer, we always play a game with every guest called First Things First. So the way the game works, it's a simple relation game. So I'm going to simply rifle off a quick word or phrase, and you just tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind. Make sense?
Okay.
It's kind of like a relation game. The only rule is that you can't repeat yourself twice.
Oh my gosh, now you're making me nervous.
So it's super easy, super fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just tell me the first, I'll rifle off a word. You tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind, and then we go back and forth. And it'll flow naturally.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
First word is money.
Money, freedom.
Limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs. We all have them.
Empowering beliefs.
Will set you free.
The artist in Steph.
The artist in Steph is like a little kid that wants to share her imagination with the world.
The best decision you ever made. Or one of the best that comes to mind.
Yeah, there's two. The best decision I ever made was to say drinking is a thing of my past and to get sober, because I wouldn't be here otherwise. But I would have to say, I think the best decision I ever made was, it's kind of in that line of to that own self be true. And that is basically, who am I? What is it that I'm here to do? And what lights my soul on fire, and following that. So following my heart, I guess, would be the short phrase.
I love it. Anesthesiology.
Anesthesiology. Well, there's so many things that are coming up. Pride, safety, value, saving lives.
Beautiful. The Genius Code.
Oh my gosh, the Genius Code is your X factor, is going to help you to stand out online and do the thing that you love to do.
I love that. Passion.
Passion is, for me, doing the thing that actually lights my heart up and like totally changes my energy and my state and makes me ready to show up and go every day.
I love that. And two more. What do you hope people who watch this interview really take away from it to apply to their life and business?
I love this. I hope that you listen to that voice, that every single listener, if they haven't acted on it already, that they do have it, and they listen to it and they take it to heart and they act on it. Because literally your heart, if you follow your heart, it is the guide to your true north. It's where your happiness, your fulfillment, and not only that, it's where your impact, your influence, and your income are going to explode.
Beautiful. And then the last one is what you hope when Steph Shinabery is dead, gone, nothing but a pile of dust, what you hope that your life was all about for humanity. What do you hope people?
Yeah, I hope that I have, a positive impact in some way on every single person that I touch. And I think inspiration and to inspire people to act, to follow their heart is probably, because that's been such a theme for me. Like one of my first prints that I did in art school is me holding a heart and with a stethoscope in my hand, and it says, follow your heart. And so this has been on my mind for 30 years of like, because I didn't do it, is that's what I want people to do. And I know that one of the best compliments that I get, that that I never usually realize it till after the fact is when people come to me and say, I'm doing this because you inspired me to do it. And that lights me up. It's like, oh my gosh, like you say, you have to always like speak your truth, because people, you impact people. You know, I read this, I think just recently from a John Maxwell book, that most people, whether they want to or not, influence 10,000, at least 10,000 people within their life in some way. So how we're going to influence them one way or the other. It could be good or bad, right? So
Right.
how do you want to influence them? So what, holding that message that we think may not mean anything inside us, when we share it or when we show up to do it, we give other people the permission to do it. And I cannot tell you how many times I've done something just because I was speaking my truth, or that I was encouraging someone, or just living by example. And they came up to me and they said, you inspired me to go do X. And that like changed everything for me.
I love that. It's a great reminder to not die with your music still inside of you.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Steph, for coming on the show and encouraging really people from all over the world to follow their true north. Any final words of wisdom, and where can people find you if they want to connect and learn more?
Oh, I think I have shared, I've shared my truth here. So I think if you listen to this, you know what I would have to say. So so you can find me at Steph with a PH, Shinabery with one R, on pretty much all the social media, except for I'm not on TikTok. And you can find me at that same website, stephshinabery.com. Or if you're interested in the Genius Code, or you're getting your Genius Code, geniuscodeacademy.com.
Perfect. And we'll put the link in the description down below so you guys can check it out and join Steph and what she's doing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Until next time, live strong, everybody. Live with passion. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I look forward to hearing what you guys learned from this episode. Till then, live strong, live with passion, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.